1947. The big war is over, and the people are not at war anymore. But you got all this cool shit just laying around. You got radars and stuff, and there's nothing to radar. But you know, if you take a big old cathode ray tube, like the stuff in those TVs, and you just make it shoot out some rays, and it hits a thing, that's the game. This was the first game. It was supposed to be like shooting an artillery shell at something. Like, maybe you need a bit of imagination to make it all work. Now, computing technology wasn't quite at this small a scale yet, so, you know, you don't get any computer parts inside. Most people don't count this as a video game, so why did I bring it up? You know, if you turn on a light bulb and turn it off, is that a game? Probably not, because it's all etymology and definitions, and without some standard, the whole English language would just fall apart. Now, it's not like we have a specific rule set for what constitutes as a game, so I'll just make up my own based on stuff. Rule number 1. It's gotta run off a computer. Otherwise, it could just be a toy or some electronic gizmo. Rule number 2. There has to be some element of interactivity. You know, you gotta press a button or something, and something's gotta happen. Otherwise, it's not really a game. It's just a movie.
A lot of whitefish can't do it.
Rule number 3. There has to be a goal. Something has to be achieved. Anything. Even, you know, you mine or you craft, whatever. Otherwise, it's just software. Because, you know, you can't win at PowerPoint. Rule number 4. It has to be displayed on a display. That's moving. Otherwise, it's really not a video. It's just a still image. Now, this comes in handy in defining where games start and where they end during this whole era, because a few examples exist of games that could almost be video games, but they're not. One such is Birdie the Brain, circa 1950. As you can see, it's just tic-tac-toe. But it does run off of a computer, and it was designed to show off this cutting-edge, smaller version of the standard vacuum tube system. It is a game, because it's tic-tac-toe. You can win, you can lose, but that display right there, that's just a couple light bulbs. So, no. It's not a video. But again, this does also bring into the question of purpose. Does a video game need to be made for the purpose of mass production and entertainment? This is important when looking at what some consider to be the actual first video game, Tennis for Two in 1958. Yeah, it looks like Pong, but frankly, it's a lot better than Pong. It was a demo made to show off the potential of computer calculating wind resistance and gravity, and it was a demo piece. It was a popular demo piece, but it was never intended for production or sale. But alas, as we venture forward, we get Space War. It requires 2 players, both controlling a ship, and you shoot the enemy ship. That's it. It's you versus them, free-for-all 1v1 me, bro. Now, this was the first game designed to be a game, but it ran off of a very expensive computer at a university, and would only run on very select few other expensive computers at other universities. The code was put into the public domain, so people could recreate it and add on to it, and they did that. It took almost a decade, but more portable versions of Space War eventually became available. One was a coin-operated machine at Stanford called Galaxy Game, and then the mass-produced Computer Space, which made into the public in 1972. This was the first consumer video game, not made for the purpose of a demo or a machine that only a couple nerds could play, but you average person, could go up and you could computer space. Again, it's just a different version of Space War, but the ability to play with yourself, by yourself, is a huge win for the video game industry. Also, the fact that it started the video game industry was a huge win for the video game. You get the point. After this, we get 1972 with another major step. The world's first home video game console. What is it gonna be? What's it gonna be? It's the Magnavox Odyssey. For all intensive purposes, this is Pong. I mean, it came before Pong, but it's still Pong. Yeah, there's other games installed in it, and you could buy some shitty little carts that plugged into the board, and this thing seems more antiquated than even Birdie the the Burt plastic on your TV. But anyway, yeah, Pong came out later, and all the Pong clones popped up, and Magnavox sued them, and then Tennis for Two was brought up because it was, what if that inspired, what if this was a ripoff of that? What I'm trying to say is the final leap I'm going to discuss, 1976, the Fairchild Channel F. This was the Atari 2600 right before the Atari 2600. You could buy a game cartridge and you could shove it in there, and you got brand new, brand spanking new games. As far as I can tell, the only reason the Fairchild failed and Atari succeeded was the fact that this was a piece of shit. Now all of this is fascinating because the industry didn't start out as an industry. It was just tech demos. The cutting edge of universities and military and whatnot finds its way into the consumer landscape eventually. Maybe it takes decades, but it got there. Computer people made fun shit on these really expensive computers, and thanks to those guys' efforts, we got all this. So I salute you, Mr. Video Game. This is Tyler of KnowledgeHub.